today's video. And in today's video, I'll be giving my current Senate prediction as of February 28th. Now, I typically do these, on like the 30th of the month or the 31st, but February is a very short month, so I'm just going to be doing it today. So, first off, before I get started, I do have an announcement. I have a website. I have some stuff on here. You guys can go check it out. I don't have a current domain, like a new domain at the moment. I'll try to put it in the comment sections and add it to my description. The current domain is americanelectionpr.wixsite.com/my-site-1. I have the homepage. I have some articles on there. I have my YouTube channel over here. These are some of my favorite videos. Some of my more recent videos. I have my Senate forecast, my 2022 Senate forecast. As it's updating, I will change it. There's a few things I need to change like that. I just haven't changed yet. I did use Wix because I am not good at this type of thing usually. So I have my Senate forecast in the top 10, I guess most competitive races according to that. And then I also have articles. I've only written 3, and I haven't written any in a while. I'll try to get around to writing some more, but those are currently 3 that I have written. 2 election analysis ones, and then our initial 2022 Senate ratings. But speaking of Senate rating, let's go get started. Giving my prediction as of today. So, all the safe Democratic states: Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Colorado is going to be safe. Illinois, probably not going to be competitive. I made a video yesterday giving each party's easiest path to a filibuster or proof majority, and I did give the Republicans, I think I might have given them Illinois just because of the possibility of somebody like Adam Kinzinger, Adam Kinzinger running. I still think he would probably lose, but it's still a possibility. So those are all going to be safe Democratic states. Colorado is probably going to be safe. For all the safe Republican states, Missouri is going to be safe. Iowa is going to be safe. South Carolina is going to be safe. I think that's it. Oh, Alabama. How could I forget? And now for all the likely Democratic states. I actually have none. I don't think any of these states will vote likely for the Democrats. And I do have a few likely Republican states, though. Ohio, Florida, Alaska, and New Hampshire. Now, in Ohio, Rob Portman, I don't actually have a Senate map from 2016 pulled up. I'll go get that. Okay, sorry about that. I should have probably had that prepared. Rob Portman won by a very large margin. He won by over 21%. However, he is going to be retiring. It'll most likely be likely. If the Democrats were to run a very strong candidate for the white working class and someone who still has a lot of suburban appeal, someone like Tim Ryan, they could do very well. I still think it'll probably be likely. If they were to run somebody like Tim Ryan, it could be like a 4% margin of victory. But it'll most likely be like a 6% margin of victory. Now, in the state of Alaska, if we go look at this, okay, if it'll let me. Lisa Murkowski won by 15.3%, so just outside of a likely margin. Now, first off, the state has been shifting to the left. Second, Murkowski will probably have lost support with the Trump wing of the Alaska GOP, which there's not necessarily a large Trump wing of the Alaska GOP. She's still loved, but she might lose a little bit of support, and they might split for independents. And there's also still the possibility of Murkowski switching parties, in which case I would rate this a lean D state. But right now, I don't think she will, so I'm going to label it likely Republican. In the state of Florida, it's been trending to the right, kind of. Over like the last 8-10 years, it's essentially been trending to the right. Marco Rubio won here by likely margins. He's not going to do any worse than he did in 2016. He'll probably improve on his margins in the state of Florida. And then finally in the state of New Hampshire now, we go look at 2016. Maggie Hassan beat Kelly Ayotte by very small margins. She beat her by a little over 1,000 votes. If I'm doing my math correctly, 1,017 votes. Hardly won in the state of New Hampshire. Now, I don't have a map pulled up, but Kristen Sununu won by over 31% in the state of New Hampshire as a Republican in the gubernatorial race. Hassan, when she was governor, won by like 5%. With 5%, only 5%, she was still able to win. And regardless of if it voted 2% to the left of the rest of the nation, that bias doesn't mean anything with Kristen Sununu. If he won by over 30%, that bias, even a 7% bias, it doesn't mean anything. He's so overwhelmingly popular. He's looking at a 5, 6, 7. Now, if Sununu were to not run, it would probably be a likely D state. If Sununu were to not run, it would essentially solidify the election for the Democrats. And I've talked about this in a previous video. I've discussed why he could essentially be the deciding factor. I actually have that video. I actually made a video about Sununu, why he would be favored. I actually have that over here in some of my favorite videos, just because I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed making a lot of these videos. And that was one I did enjoy. You can see actually over here, I have 2 election nights, and then I have GOP victory in New Hampshire talking about Sununu, and I have why Georgia will be the next Democratic stronghold. Anyways, so I think Sununu is looking at like a 5, 6, 7% margin of victory in the state. If he doesn't run, it's likely D, and like I said, I've already made a video discussing why if he doesn't run. Honestly, if he were to decide to run, it could shape the Senate over the next 4 years after now, like until 2026, maybe 2028. It could, essentially, he could decide who controls the Senate for a very long time. So I think that would probably be a likely Republican state. Now, for the lean Democratic states, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. Now, I'll discuss Georgia. It's very debatable. I actually don't have a 2020 Senate map pulled up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go pull that up as well. Okay. This map is loading in. As you can see, in Georgia, actually, we should probably be looking at the special election. Raphael Warnock won by like 2%. Oh, okay. Well, that was weird. It's weird because I don't know if what that was, but I do have a membership. Raphael Warnock won by like 2%. Warnock won by like 2%, which is a very large margin of victory. That's fairly large. And now Loeffler was obviously a horrible candidate. But then again, there are talks it could really shift to the left, or it could shift to the right. Loeffler was an awful candidate, and Doug Collins could do very well. I don't think he would be doing very well among like the moderate Trump base, what am I saying? Moderate vote that left the GOP and voted for Democrats, just because he's gone full Trump wing, and even with the Trump endorsement, I don't know if you guys can hear that. But if we go look at Loeffler's numbers, she did awful. She did awfully in the state. Collins, I think, could probably do better than her, and if it were Collins versus Warnock, Collins would have still lost, but it wouldn't have been as large a margin. However, come 2022, there are 2 things that I think they kind of go hand in hand, but that could essentially be the reason that it could shift to the left in that race. Now, the things are that kind of go hand in hand, as I said, Stacey Abrams and turnout being raised. Now, I do think that we'll see minority turnout in the state at a high from, at least in midterms, from in a very long time. Like Warnock won with runoff turnout, which is incredible. He was able to win with turnout from a runoff, and runoffs are typically like the lowest turnout of elections. But I think that Stacey Abrams will probably be on the ballot, which will definitely help him. But she will also be, turnout will be raised among minority voters, which will help him even more. And I don't think that will be able to, I think that will essentially kind of cancel out and actually essentially get rid of and go further with, I guess is the best way to say it, Collins, whatever slightly increased support among moderates he might have, he wouldn't be able to do it. If he were to not run for Senate, it would probably be Lean D without a question. Unless the GOP were to run, I was going to say unless they were to run like a moderate, crazy moderate, like insanely moderate, like not liberal, because they would not be able to do anything, but like as moderate as you can be while still being a conservative, but still has some appeal to the Trump wing. That's what they would have to be able to do to win there, and it's not going to happen because they're not going to be able to do well enough in the suburbs. Now, in the state of Arizona, we already saw, as in Georgia, but we already saw a lean margin of victory for Mark Kelly. This was against Martha McSally, who was a candidate that people already disliked. But I do think that he will, first off, the Arizona GOP is a lot like the Georgia GOP in that they just can't seem to run good candidates, but they've already censored essentially their only 2 hopes at a statewide victory, in Doug Ducey and Cindy McCain. I can't think of anybody else who would be a candidate that could potentially win there, like John McCain, but like he's obviously not alive, which is unfortunate. for the Arizona GOP, but they won't be, or like unfortunate in general that anyone's like he's dead. But politically speaking, unfortunate for the Arizona GOP, or I guess electorally speaking, unfortunate for the Arizona GOP because also Donald Trump attacked him, and anybody who is like, let's say they run like let's just say Paul Gosar, say they run him, um, Gosar will most likely get a endorsement from Trump. Arizona voters hate Trump. He's gonna lose, and it's a lot of this was because Trump disliked John McCain. But I think that honestly, at this point, the only two Republicans who can win here are Doug Ducey and Cindy McCain, and neither are gonna run because the Arizona GOP won't run them. So it's essentially not gonna be able to do anything. Now in the state of Nevada, um, like Arizona and Georgia, go back to this. I mean, like Catherine Cortez Masto won by 2.4%, which is the same margin of victory as if this map will load. Joe Biden, where he won by 2.4%, and Hillary Clinton. I don't have a 2016 map up, but she also won by 2.4%. And demographically speaking, or at least I actually have to work shifts within demographics. Actually, I talked about that a little bit in that Nevada article, but there haven't been a lot of shifts on the like statewide Nevada level. We haven't really seen Democrats do much better or much worse, or Republicans for that matter. I think Cortez Masto will probably do similar. I think that she actually lost Clark County in 2016. I'm gonna go take a look at that. Clark County. She lost Washoe County by 0.9%. So actually lost in 2,000 votes, but she still lost Washoe County. I think she'll probably win Washoe County and probably do very well in Clark County. She did very well in Clark County, but I think that she'll probably keep those numbers and do very well in Washoe County, which will essentially get her the win. As I discussed, Georgia could maybe be tilt blue, but it'll probably still be lean blue. And now for all of my lean Republican states, I have one. That's the state of Wisconsin. By the way, these two states are probably going to be like two of the closest. In the state of Wisconsin, we go look at 2016. Ron Johnson won here by like 3.4%. Now, he has been backing Trump a lot and will most likely get a Trump endorsement and wanted to overturn the election results in multiple states. But I don't necessarily think that will cost him terribly. He still was able to win by a fairly large margin. And if you average it out, I said this before, Trump would have won Wisconsin. If you average out Trump's numbers and Biden's numbers, it's a Republican victory. And I think that just because he is the incumbent, if he were to retire, it's a whole nother story. That's tilt blue. But I think that Johnson right now, he's still I think he's still going to do fairly well. Unless something comes out or he says something, then he'll probably lose. But right now, I think he's looking at like a 2% margin of victory. Now, these two final states remain. Both are going to be tilt states. So I'll go label the first one. That's just in North Carolina. I think I'll probably be tilt red. A lot of people think it'll be blue. I don't buy that. I don't think it'll be blue. And go look, Richard Burr won by a very large margin. He won by, I believe, 5.7%. He is retiring, however. If he were to be running, I would say it's lean red. But he is retiring, which means it'll be an open seat. And I don't see the Democrats really running a strong enough candidates to. I think that if Texas were to be the same margin of victory for Trump, and if it were to be essentially the same state, Beto would probably win there. And same thing if it were Georgia, Stacey Abrams would win there. But I don't necessarily know that the North Carolina Democratic Party can run a strong enough candidate. The only candidate that I could think of that could win is Roy Cooper. I think he's already said that he wouldn't run, though. I don't think he'll run. I highly doubt it. So I think that North Carolina will probably be tilt red. It'll be very close. But the Democrats would have to do so well in the suburbs. They would have to continue that suburban swing very hard. And while I think that they could do that, I think that there's no one who can really, push it past, or, push it so it flips before it's due, I guess is the best way I can say it. Essentially push the suburbs so hard that they shift more than they were anticipated to and more than they probably should have. I just don't see them being able to do it. And they would also have to do very well with the black vote. I just don't see it happening. In the final state of Pennsylvania, I think it's tilt blue. We have seen both Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and statewide Congressman Malcolm Kenyatta announce. Tom Wolf has already said that he wouldn't run. I don't know about Conor Lamb. I think if Conor Lamb runs and he becomes the nominee, it'll probably be a lean blue state. Now, I do think that looking at this, both candidates are strong. Fetterman is a progressive. I've heard people saying, "Oh, he's a progressive. He won't win because he's a progressive." But what we have to remember is, progressives don't always do bad in these areas. I think that progressives such as AOC would do awful. I think AOC would probably lose at least both Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. There's a good chance that she loses Michigan as well, because she labels herself as a democratic socialist. While there are progressives who are maybe as progressive, or probably not as progressive, but fairly progressive in the Rust Belt, who can win by fairly large margins. Sherrod Brown and Tammy Baldwin are two great examples that I like to bring up. They're two progressives that can do very well here in this region, and a lot of these voters see these policies and they like them. What they don't like is whenever they hear the word socialist, regardless of if it's saying democratic socialist. If you hear I'm a blank whatever socialist, they hear that you're a socialist, and that's not what these voters want. They obviously don't want socialism, and that's just awful for trying to win there. People like John Fetterman, who have progressive policies but don't label themselves as democratic socialists, I think could do very well here. I think that Fetterman could win. Kenyatta also has a lot of that moderate appeal. I think he could do very well. Conor Lamb hasn't announced. I think he would probably be the strongest candidate. I think he has a lot of white working class appeal, and I think he could probably win by upwards of 2%. But that's essentially it. I don't know if this was exactly the same prediction as my last video. A lot hasn't really changed. I think Kenyatta announced in Pennsylvania, and I can't think of anything else really significant that's happened to affect the 2022 Senate elections. Obviously, over that time, we have seen a lot of stuff going on in Texas with Ted Cruz flying to Cancun and joking about it in CPAC. And I think that honestly, that'll probably cost him his Senate bid. I think that Trump, or I say Trump, whoever runs in 2024, the Republicans, Trump, DeSantis, Pence, Haley, Hawley, Cruz, even, I don't, if he's not the nominee, I think that whoever runs on the presidential level will win the state, but Beto O'Rourke will run on the Senate level and narrowly flip it. But that's essentially a topic for another day. I don't know that necessarily so much has happened since the last time I made this video. My views have slightly changed on Pennsylvania. I think it'll probably be tilt blue instead of lean blue if I label it lean blue. But other than that, I think this is the same prediction. Maybe tilt blue Georgia. I might make it tilt blue. I'm just going to assume lean blue. But that's it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Stay tuned for my next video, and I'll see you all there. Bye!